Hey there, friends. Information still coming in about the Trump assassination attempt. And, you know, when you wait for information, additional information to come in after something, especially high profile as this, your hope is that as information comes in, it starts to clarify things, right? Boy, I tell you what, the information coming in is only making things worse at this point. One of the first things I pointed out yesterday and during my live stream Saturday after the shooting was that there seemed to be a higher percentage of women represented in the Secret Service detail surrounding Trump. In fact, they seem to be in some type of a supervisory role, especially the shorter girl who was on stage with Trump immediately after he got shot. Now, we're going to go over this video and I want to point some things out to you. A lot of people made mistakes, and I can promise you there were plenty of men who made mistakes also. Plenty of men who made mistakes. In fact, probably more men made mistakes than women. The thing is, the closer you get to the president, the stronger that detail should be. The more effective, the more able-bodied that you should have that protective wall around the president or whoever your protected person is, your protectee. The closer you get to them, the stronger that defense should be. So the president gets shot. You see Secret Service immediately run up there, right? You hear a lady saying, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" I'm pretty sure one of the ladies is behind them right now. She dove in from the back side of the stage. And I will say this, the lady that's on stage here to the right that you're going to see her, she's down there.
Hold, when you're ready, on you.
You'll see her head come up right here.
Move, go.
All guys here. All guys here, move to the stair. Stair, get ready.
We ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
Again, I think there's one of the females that's in a supervisory role. If you notice that, not everybody's allowed to talk during this, and she is. So see her to the right there. There she is. This lady hustles. I'm going to give her credit. She is hustling. But look at the exposed head and chest of Donald Trump as he stands up. I want you to see this. You were supposed to literally shield this man from taking a bullet. Literally. That means you should be covering him up. Now she's trying. I'm giving her credit. She is absolutely trying. Don't know why she's fiddling with her sunglasses right there, probably full of sweat. She's trying to take them off. But she is hustling right here, and she's doing her best to stay close to the president or to the former president. I think this girl does a remarkable job. The one trailing behind her, see that one? What is she doing? It looks like she's following her kids trick-or-treating. Again, the girl in front, awesome job. She's still right up on Trump. This one here, look, she unholsters her gun all of a sudden, right here, and then decides, yeah, I guess I don't need it. Can't put it in her holster. Let me think about this for a second. Let me try it again. Oh, there's the holster. I'm too fat. At this point, you see 4 women around this van. Only one man right there in the back and one man way up front. Now there's other men in the crowd, but the immediate protection around that Suburban was 4 women right immediately, like the closest to it, and then one man a little bit behind it and one man in front of it. I thought the lady in front did a really good job, but guys, you have to understand, when you have a protectee, it's literally your job. You hear people say it and you think it's a cliche sometimes, but their job is literally to take a bullet for the protectee. In this case, Donald Trump is 6 foot something, 200 something pounds. Why does that matter? It absolutely matters. Number one, you have to be strong enough and able enough to move him. I don't mean walking side by side like you see in this video. If he got shot and was immobile, or even dead for that matter, you have to be able to move him. And in some cases, the people with you, they may get shot also. So you have to be able to move that body yourself. Even the good agent that I personally think she was hustling and trying to do a good job, she seemed like she had her wits about her and wasn't freaking out about what are we going to do for dinner. it seemed like she was intent on doing the right thing and she was focused. There was no way that little chick was going to move Donald Trump. On top of that, she's not taking a bullet for Donald Trump. Anything above his nipples, and he's getting it right in the face because she's the one right in front of him. So there's no way she can properly protect this guy. And again, I give her 100% credit for effort. A for effort, across the board. Great job. Looks like she, again, kept her wits about her. I do think the taking off of the sunglasses, it's probably because sweat was getting in it. You know what I mean? High stress situation. She seemed like she was down on top of Trump immediately and really doing the best that she could. All the way up to the SUV. And if you notice her positioning just to the right of the passenger window, that also tells me that she's probably in some type of a supervisory role. She ain't the one hanging back. She's up there front, close to the protectee, right? The poor chick to the left, I feel bad for her. There's a still shot picture of her crouching down with that look on her face like she just burned her grease trying to fry chicken. I feel bad for this girl. This girl was told that she could do anything that a man could do, and she believes it. She never thought she would be in this kind of situation, but she believed everybody getting in her ear saying, you can do anything a man can do. You can do anything in this job that any of our men can do. And she believed that right up until those shots rang out. Poor thing all of a sudden decides now's the time for me to unholster my weapon because she sees other people with AR-15s thinking, I guess we're supposed to have our guns out. So she unholsters her gun, stands around looking at it, realizes that was stupid, let me put it back. Goes to put it back in the holster, doesn't know where the holster is, hasn't trained that enough, not enough muscle memory there. So clearly there's things that and gaps in her own training. She's not going home dry firing and unholstering like a lot of us do that might shoot competition or just carry on a regular basis. Those of us who carry, how many of you out there have drawn in the mirror and tried to make sure that you access that muscle memory to know how to properly and safely reholster your gun without looking down at it, right? You don't want to do that if you can prevent that. This lady's not done that. Her training is inadequate, and her own training of herself, again at home, is inadequate as well. Clearly she has not done this. I feel bad for her. I truly feel bad for this person being coached into a role that she's not capable of fulfilling and just doing such a bad job. And look at all the women. Every one of them is too short. Look at all the men. Look how tall these men are. They're all well over 6 foot tall. Every one of them. It's weird. It's almost like men are built different than women. Crazy times, right? These women are not built to the right stature to protect somebody of this size. So how did we get here? Let's go to the Secret Service's own website. First of all, one of the early pages you come to looks just like the security detail we just saw with Donald Trump. Notice what it looks like here, the diversity, right? 3 women, 1 dude on the end, right? They're telling you that's what they want their workforce to look like. They're not worried about merit, they're worried about looks. If we go to their diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility program page, we see a little bit more about it. Going into the page, you will find the protected classes of people that they are trying to fill over any guy that looks a little bit like me. African American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Indigenous Nations, Federal, Women's, LGBT, Persons with Disabilities, Disabled Veteran, Office of the Ombudsman. And if you go a little bit further into the website, one of the only glimpses of a guy that looks like me is his hand and a reflection in a car door. But it all starts with the director, right? This is a hand-picked appointee by Joe Biden.
But the Secret Service's departure rate was 48% last year, due in part to the high demands of the job. To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
So that's Kim Cheadle. That's the director of the Secret Service, again, handpicked by Joe Biden. Now, remember, her background, she comes from Pepsi, right? She's essentially, think about this. There was nobody to protect at Pepsi, right? You have to understand that. There wasn't a person she protected at Pepsi. She protected oatmeal, bags of chips, and sodas. Essentially, loss prevention, right? That's essentially what she was looking out for. People that might be breaking into the place, people might be stealing some sodas and bags of chips. That's the level of knowledge that she took with her to be the director of the Secret Service. Now, I'm going to give her a little bit of credit. She worked in the Secret Service for the federal government for a while before she had that job at Pepsi. So I just want to make sure we understand. I'm not trying to be unfair here. I want to be totally fair when I say she did work as a Secret Service agent before. Under Clinton, I think George Bush also. I think she was Cheney's person who helped him evacuate whenever 9/11 hit. So she has experience in what the business of Secret Service is. Then she went to Pepsi and guarded potato chips, and now she's the director over the Secret Service for the United States Secret Service. This lady, just like Kamala Harris and just like Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court Justice, they were chosen because they're women. In fact, if you'll remember, Jackson was chosen by Biden just because she's a black woman. He said, before he had names of who he was going to appoint, he said, I'm going to appoint a black woman as a justice. Now let me go find one. That tells you everything you need to know about this administration. That also tells me that they were willing to overlook maybe shortcomings in this Cheeto lady, knowing that she might not be able to do the job, but guess what? We get a check mark when it comes to diversity because we hired a woman to head this entire unit up of badasses. So I know what you're thinking. If they can do the job, and they seem to have done a pretty good job of hustling for Joe Biden and protecting Joe Biden, then surely they're good enough for Trump, right? I took the time to go through lots, I'm talking hours, of video and still footage on the internet and everywhere else that I could find it to see what the detail that protected Joe Biden looked like. And you might be surprised for somebody who hires women just because they're women, regardless of what they can do, because Joe Biden didn't seem to have the same amount of confidence in women protecting him as he did in women protecting Trump. Take a look. Big guys, you can see both these guys are as tall as Joe Biden and a little bit bigger than Joe Biden. If Joe Biden went down, these men could relocate Joe Biden safely and get him to safety, right? Next picture here, looks like everybody that has glasses on and an earpiece is bigger and taller than Joe Biden. They're also male. Next shot here, looks like a couple of guys with very serious looks on their face. They could relocate Joe Biden if they needed to. They all happen to be white men. Next shot here, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys protecting the president and his wife. All big, able-bodied white men. Look a little silly with their masks on, but they are all able-bodied. Probably the A-team right there. Weird that the A-team is all larger, able-bodied white men. Next up, I recognize the guy on the far end over there. We've seen him in a couple of pictures. Again, all larger, able-bodied men. And some different faces, except the guy on the left, I recognize him, but 3 able-bodied men, bigger than and taller than Joe Biden. Now, it took me a minute, but I did finally find a woman holding a door open for Joe Biden at an airport. Think about this, guys. Look at the level of threat everywhere that Joe Biden surrounded himself with able-bodied, larger, taller, grown men. Areas in public, areas on the street, areas that people could get to him. The only picture that I found, and this is the only one where I found a woman, trust me, the lady in the pink shirt is not Secret Service. She's also in high heels. I promise you that is not Secret Service. The only picture that I found with a woman was at an airport. Now, what kind of threat is at an airport? Already, the airport is off limits to anybody anyhow, right? So, surely, this lady was chosen. Hey, guys, don't we need to include a woman in at least one of our details? Yeah, we got one. We're going to the airport. A lot less danger there. We have a separate layer of security beyond our own, so we're going to be good. Yeah, let's bring old Sarah over here with us. Guys, I have no problem with a woman being hired to do a job that is predominantly a man's job if she can do it as good or better than the candidate that she beat out. I have personal experience with this. My wife is an engineer. That is a very male-dominated workforce. My wife does a really good job. In fact, she'll be retiring in a couple of years. Women can do jobs of other men in male-dominated areas that don't require physical experience and expertise, and let's face it, perfection. When you are putting a female into the role of somebody else that requires physical ability, and I'm not talking about the mental acuity, I'm not saying that because they're better at making sandwiches that they can't protect somebody. I think that, again, the lady in front to the right of Trump did a remarkable job as far as want to. She wanted to do a good job, and she tried. I really do. I mean, kudos to her. Hope she gets a medal for this, and she may. But you have to be able to do everything, including drag a 200-something pound man out of the way to safety if you need to. There's no way she could have done that. There's no way. Men in that detail would have had a little bit of trouble doing that. Trump was clearly given the B team. Trump was not given the A team. Of course, Joe Biden is the president, so I expect him to have the A team. But I don't expect Trump to get the F team either. And again, that's not a knock against anybody in that crew who's trying to do their best. They're clearly not part of the best. I saw a lot of faces in these pictures with Joe Biden that were not the same faces over and over again. I recognized one man in 3 of the photos. The rest of these people are changing faces. So they clearly are rotating through a lot of people. I didn't see any of those faces around Donald Trump. This is a big deal. I think they have to rethink this. I think they have to look at what the goal of these people is going to be. I don't care if you're a supervisor or not. If you are in the detail that is Donald Trump or anybody else's immediate protection, you have to be as big as him and you have to be as tall as him. This is not a guess on my part. This is the way the Secret Service works. These people know this. They are supposed to take a bullet meant for the protectee if they need to. This person that shot at Donald Trump could have shot right over the head of this hustling little girl and easily shot Trump in the chest all the way up to his head. This is a failure on the part of the Secret Service. This starts at the top. This is whenever you get somebody at the top who is training down to the supervisory level and telling them we need to stop trying to get the biggest, baddest guy in there. We need to settle for whoever we get. If they pass the test and make decent enough marks, then the tiebreaker is going to be a female, because she's bragging about having the entire Secret Service workforce at 30% female by 2030. And she's well on her way, probably there already based on what I've seen, certainly with Donald Trump's detail. You can look at Trump's detail and at least half of the workforce, maybe more than that, is female on Trump's detail. Look, I make a pretty good sandwich, so I don't need a woman to make my sandwiches for me. But I also know that there's a job for all of us that some of us are better at. And I would be willing to bet that the women that you see in this picture probably can make a really killer sandwich, and they probably make really good Secret Service people in a scenario or a situation that's modeled. But when it comes to something like this, you think about this. Who do you want? I'll take somebody who's able-bodied. I mean, if you want to throw some big bowed-up, butchy-looking chick with a buzz cut in there and a flannel shirt, that's cool, as long as she can do the job. Maybe she's got the mental awareness and the testosterone flowing through her that makes her want to fight and be as aggressive as a man would in a high-stress situation like this. But we didn't have that here. We had more dainty females, slightly overweight, and it looked like we at least had one who wished she was in another place at this very moment.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's so horrible!